Right, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who willing to teach all the God of His truth. Came across this video this morning, and it's a complete. Is the way the people of Iran are reacting to the looks to be the turban of their leader Khomeini, who was taken out during the first day of this war, which was started by Esau. The way these people are reacting to their leader, I saw it and it made me think about how much of a difference there is between the uh, the so-called Iranian population and with the so-called American population. And one of those big differences is that the people of so-called Iran, they actually have a spirit that takes pride within who they are as a people and takes pride um, within, I guess, their government too. Now, that's a complete contrast. Why? Because America has found themselves that they have nothing to be prideful. And the purpose of this video is to, you know, hopefully show that America is going to have a mutiny problem, and that mutiny problem, the only solution for that mutiny problem is going to be by Esau Edom creating a problem, a false flag to bring everything to order, which will ultimately usher in the MOTB. All right, so let's go ahead and get some precepts. I got some pulled up, and then also too, before I get into the video, I just want to make mention, man. Ecclesiastes, the third chapter. I find myself doing a lot of videos now in transit, and the reason being is because of this new position that I'm in with this company, and it's just gotten things have gotten so busy that I barely have time to do what I need to do, which is more importantly this work. Um, and so I will say this, and maybe this is helpful for some brothers who might be listening to this, man. I was very used to doing videos on my laptop. I get to pull the precepts, it looks better. Even the screenshot when you save the video onto your YouTube channel, to me, I feel like it looks better. And so, when I started this position, I still try to do things on my laptop. But what I'm trying to say is, as I quoted, mentioned Ecclesiastes, the third chapter, there's a season to everything. And the Most High will put you in a season where you'll just change things up, man. You know, you may go from doing videos on your phone to doing videos on laptop. You may go from doing videos on your laptop to doing live. Um, the Most High may put things in your life where He changes up where you work at, and so what are we to do? We are to adapt, man. We're not to stop doing the work because the work isn't going to be done the way that we want the work to be done, man. All right, we have to continue to do the work. The scripture talks about being e- immovable in this truth, man. So let's go back to the video here. Let's get Habakkuk 2:16. It says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered." And this is going into the difference between the so-called, with these Edomites slash Babylonians, man. Man, think about all of the wickedness of Esau that has been uncovered in the past 10 years. You know, think about critical race theory. Um, think about um, everything that's come out that this man has done to the so-called natives, man. You know, now you have producers like that guy from that show Key and Pale. Now they're doing shows like I forget the name of that movie, Don't Blink or Can't See Me. The one where that dude, where they're taking so-called black dude to this white people's ranch and they're trying to take his soul, right? Like a lot of stuff is coming out about Esau Edom. Now people are starting to see that the whole 911 thing was staged. People are starting to see that Gaddafi was overthrown not because he was evil, but because he was trying to create his own currency and step away from the dollar. There's a lot of shame that has filled this place. People are seeing, the effects of these, you know, jabs, and the Epstein documents. There's been a lot of disgusting filth that has been shown as to who these Edomites truly are, and now they've been filled with shame. And all of this, some of this, well, all of this is being done by Yahweh Shemel Shai, but some of these things have also been done, have been weaponized by Esau's enemies. China has put a lot of information out there. Russia has too. You got that Hunter Biden laptop issue. A lot of people are ashamed in their government, and that's what struck me when I saw that video, man. Because we know what the scriptures say, right? The scriptures talk about the third woe cometh quickly, and we know that that's going into World War III. All right, Joel 2 verse 20 talks about the fight that's going to happen in Saudi Arabia, right? Which that links up with Joel the third chapter, the Valley of Yehoshaphat, right? Where ultimately the last war is going to go down. Okay, and so as I'm thinking about all these scriptures, and then I'm thinking about how these Americans don't have any pride in in their country, and so what's that going to do when it's time to go and fight World War III? Of course, you're going to have your idiots that are going to put their lives on the line for a fucking $90,000 Hellcat, right? Which you can turn around and sell that for 20,000, and still have $70,000 worth of debt. It's fucking insane. So, we know that you're gonna have dummies like that, but then you're gonna have what's called a mutiny problem, man. Because people, I mean, would you fight for this? Of course, we know we wouldn't, but I'm saying, do you think the average American is going to fight for this country when they've seen their president enrich themselves by, to the tune of $2 billion in just 1 year, when they've seen no justice done, against the Epstein files, when they've seen no justice done about the jabs, they've seen the pardons that this president has given to, drug dealers from Honduras, specifically the president, and then gave you the excuse that because of drugs, he went and kidnapped Maduro and there's no justice. Do you think anybody wants to, feels like they're on the right side of history, as a so-called American right now with so much being exposed? The answer is absolutely not. And so, that goes back to the shame for glory. Matter of fact, let's finish up this precept here. It says, the cup of Yahweh Shemi outside's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And that's exactly what we see, man. Esau is being made bare, which, this lines up with Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, I believe around 11 or 12 verse. The cup, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have surely drunken it. Thou shalt surely not go unpunished. All right, which that links up with Lamentations, the fourth chapter, which that links up with uh, Deuteronomy 30 verse 7. Now because shame was put upon our glory. You know, everybody wants to try to, oh well, you guys were in caves and in tiki huts, and people, we become that byword. Now it's coming on to you. Now everybody's seeing the disgusting acts that you did to get to where you are. All right, the Trail of Tears, the doctrine of discovery, the transatlantic slave trade. Right, people are beginning to see that women's rights was a big thing that broke up the families, man. And so the point is that nobody's going to fight for this. And so, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have, and there may be a better word for it, but I think mutiny is a good term. Now, the word mutiny, it says, is a group refusal to obey orders. And what are those order is going to be that this group is going to be refusing. Well, the group is going to be America, man, and that order is going to be to go fight. And these Edomites see this, man. They see people don't want to fight for this country anymore, and you know you can't even call what we're saying speculation anymore. Do you know why? Because if they don't see this, and if this isn't a real issue, why is why did Pete Hegseth do a fucking commercial talking about begging the people that got fired for not taking the jab to come back? Why did they say that, hey, if you retired, even at the age of 50, you can still come back and fight? Why are they talking about the national draft? Okay. Why? Because they see the people, they see the social media accounts, they see how people are reacting to the filth that's being shown about them. This is America is dealing with a mutiny problem, man. Right now, I mentioned it earlier last week on the video that I did. We are at the we are at a very big transitional time, man, where every something's gonna happen. The scriptures talk about we know in part and we prophesy in part. We know that there's gonna be big things. I mean, we already see earthquakes in diverse places, specifically Colombia and Venezuela. But look at everybody's attitude. Everybody's attitude, even your modern day Edomite at the job site, he's not worried about what the boss man says anymore. He's just, I mean, he is, but he's not. People are at work just to do the bare minimum. Why? Because they've seen the inequality of the wages, their hopes and dreams. They have nothing to work for. They're never going to own homes. They're never going to own properties. The myrrh has ceased, man, as the scriptures talk about. And so, you know, that on top of seeing all kinds of corruption and no justice being dealt, these people, the America's mentality has shifted to I'm just gonna do what I need to do and get home and worry about me and fuck everybody else, man. And rightfully so, because this country, as the apostles on down have said, this country doesn't give a fuck about you, man. Donald Trump told you, right? He said we don't have money for Medicare, we don't have money for child care because we need that money for wars. And then they turn around and ask for what is that, another 60 billion for the war in Iran? Fucking insane, man. These people don't give a fuck about you. So this is why this is why America is going to be is currently dealing with a mutiny problem and it's gonna get worse. Okay, let's get some more definitions here. It says it usually happens with soldiers or sailors against their officers, which we know that's why Alexander the Greek stopped his conquering because he was dealing with a mutiny too. He'd been fighting for like 11 years, and his people wanted to go home, and they stopped obeying him, and so he saw the dangers in it, and so he began to make his way back to Greece, and he died on the way. But the point is, it just shows you the seriousness of a mutiny that Alexander the leopard mentioned in the book of Daniel. He stopped his conquering because of the mutiny. So this mutiny isn't some small thing, man. It's a big deal. It says group action. It involves two or more people acting together, not just one person breaking a rule. Members refuse commands or try to take physical control from the boss, captain, or commander. That's second Ezra, right? They shall have no respect for their leaders or their politicians, right? Uh, again, think about that video that we saw at the beginning, man. All of this is scriptural. Let's get Jeremiah 51, verse 30. The point is at the top, okay? And we know that Jeremiah 49, 50, and 51 are all prophetic books. It says, the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. The prophet Jeremiah saw this, man. All right, because matter of fact, I was watching the video by that fucking micro Mike Levin. If you know, you know. Micro Mike Levin. That's the name that Megan Kelly gave him. But he's a fucking Amalekite on Fox News, and he was basically saying that um, the the what is it, the boomers or whoever, the generation in during World War II and Vietnam, he was saying that that generation would have been lining up to go fight, and that's true. But the reason that he mentioned it is because he himself also was talking about the lack of wanting. Matter of fact, let me go and put this on sleep. He himself was talking about how these Babylonians, they're not riled up for the war in Iran, and he was complaining that nobody wants to fight. People just want the war to stop, and he was saying that his generation would have been lining up, and that's true. But as the scriptures talk about it in the book of Daniel, knowledge has been increased, man, and especially the knowledge of who Esau Edom is, right? That's Second Thessalonians, that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. All right, everybody sees that these small hats aren't the people. Everybody sees the evil of these Edomites. They don't want to fight. Jeremiah saw this in his vision. It says they have remained in their homes. All right, which we can see how the definition of mutiny can play into this now. It says their might has failed; they became as women. They have burned her dwelling places; her bars are broken. Damn, her bars are broken, man. America's biggest weapon has been their military, has been their sword. That's been their defense. Nobody has been wanting to touch this place because of their weapon, and their weapon has been the army. Their weapon is their defense. Their weapon is their bars, and her bars are broken, man. All right. You don't think these other countries are looking at what's going on socially and politically in America? People are paying attention to how America is reacting to this Iran war. Fucking the shitter in chief. He's I paused the bombs because of we're gonna do a peace deal. I mean, supposedly he's won this war 60 times while waiting for a peace deal. I mean, make that shit make sense. But the point is that you know this is going into Joel 3. Let the weak say, I am strong. It's going into Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Has that also become as weak as we are? Why? Because the sword, her bars have been broken down, man. Why? Because of the filth that this country has been exposed to, at the hands of these Edomites, man. And so, now let's go back to it. If America is dealing with a mutiny problem, what's how do you get everybody on board? How do you get if your own countrymen will not listen to you? How do you get everyone on board? Well, now I want to play you another video. Let me mute the mic. All right. Yeah. So when America is dealing with this mutiny problem, when people don't want to go to war, when everybody's fucking hates and loathes to be called a so-called American, these these top heads of states, they're gonna have to do something, and hence comes that engineered financial problem, man. Then it's gonna be like, okay, well, you don't want to go to war. Okay, well, now you have no money. All right, they're gonna create a problem so that, with a solution in mind. And what is that solution? That's Revelations 13 verse 16, man. That's the MOTV, because the only way to gather, think about a room full of angry people at the fucking Walmart customer service line. Everybody's mad. Fuck this. I don't want to be here. They need to get their shit together. The only way for you to get those people's attention when they want nothing to do with you is by creating a problem and then telling them, hey, this is what you have to do. Hence, popping the fire alarm and saying, hey, now you have to listen to me because, yes, you're in line at this Walmart, but now we have an emergency and I know the plan to get us out. Here's the way. And that's exactly what these Edomites are going to do. All right. The, the financial system is going to be broken. Okay. Matter of fact, that's Revelations, the sixth chapter, talks about the black horse, right? 1 denarii for a loaf of bread, right? That's a day's pay, talking about hyperinflation. And that's coming to America. That's coming to those that are at rest. According to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, you know, second Ezra, victuals shall be so cheap, and then shall come sudden destruction, man. So what I'm trying to get 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 you to understand is that the only way to fix this mutiny problem that America has is by creating a problem and giving them the solution. That's the only way that you gather the control of the people. Because right now, they are disregarding their kings and queens, man. They're disregarding what their politicians are telling them. And that's going to lead to, like, this fucking Bruce Lee guy said here, man, that's going to lead to government shutdowns. It's going to lead to fucking electrical shutdowns, right? That's more prophecy. A man shall desire to go into the city and not be able to. Okay, that's going to lead into Jacob's trouble, man. And that's the only way that's the only out that these people have, man. Let me see if I had any more precepts. Could have sworn I had another one. Mutiny, Jeremiah. Yeah, I think that's it. Matter of fact, let's finish it off with Isaiah 47 and 7. It says, and thou says, I shall be a lady forever, so thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it, man. And that's the mentality of these Americans, you know. We all saw Venezuela fucking get hammered with hyperinflation about 10, 15 years ago. They were eating their dogs. Everybody saw that, and oh, that'll never come to us. Okay. We've now been seeing Gaza being pummeled, drones in Gaza. Oh, that'll never happen to us. We've now seen earthquakes, in Colombia. Oh, that'll never happen to us. We've seen now, you don't see much of this because fucking Esau controls the news, but, you know, so-called Cubans, the tribe of Manasseh, they're dealing with blackouts for I think it's like 18 hours at a time. Oh, that that'll never happen to America. That's what Isaiah 47 and 7 is going into. But that's exactly what's going to happen, man. Ezekiel the 38th chapter. I quoted it earlier. I will go to them that are at rest. This is that virgin city, man. Thinking that you're never going to be touched. No, man. As the scripture says in Romans 9, for this purpose have I raised up Pharaoh. And this is spiritual Egypt according to Revelations 11 and 8. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it up, man. I, pray that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua continues to strengthen us, continues to prepare us for what's to come, because we are in a transitional period and things are about to get very, very ugly. So the next one, Shalom.